Hope you're all still awake. Late Night Mega here. And we're still exploring... Well, we're exploring the overworld map now. We're not exploring the town. I still have fun with that. And we're going to keep exploring our way all the way to the town of Heliodor. And then we'll explore the town. There's so much exploration in these games. We have a new enemy. I think this is a new enemy. It looks like it could be weak to fire. It is. You'll see next time I fight him, I'll try using just the sword attack, because we can do that, where there's one right there. It's a fright ball. It's like an earth-flying slime. See, I told you slime things were pretty popular. And we have another new enemy who is chasing me with a hammer. I need to heal up before fighting another new enemy. Where's my healing items? This is my item bag. And it turns out they're on the character themselves. This is kind of going to annoy me a bit later. Basically, there's a lot of menuing you have to go through to transfer items from either one character to another. It's not a quick process, and you can only do like one item at a time, and it will bother me. And I would expect that out of like the old Dragon Quest games, but not Dragon Quest XI. This is the PS4. Yeah, we have a treasure. See, this is why I explore. A single file. It recovers MP, which is nice. Like I said, I'm not going to... Yeah, I can run those guys over. Not going to fight necessarily all the enemies, but... Do I want another level? I kind of want another level up before going into Heliodor, just because I don't know what we're going to find there. I guess you can't run over Platypunk. Okay. Well, let's just frizz it. I've never really cared for the names of the attack magics in the Dragon Quest series, because we'll get like Frizz and Cuffrizz and Cuffrizzle or something like that. And then you have Crack and Crackle and Sizz and Kissizz. I always get them confused as to which one actually does what, and which one is actually more powerful. I mean, it doesn't have to be like the classic Final Fantasies, like the old school Final Fantasies that did Fire 2 and Fire 3. But I do like how the Final Fantasies name their spells with Fire, Fyra, and Faraga. I mean, there's kind of a clear progression, whereas, I don't know, all the names just kind of, in the Dragon Quest game, they just all kind of blend together for me. I'm going to use a herb. Well, we could continue heading north to Heliodor, which is like right up there, or we can backtrack and explore what we didn't explore this way. And you can guess which one I'm going to take. Oh, you don't have to guess. I mean, you're watching the video. You can see what I'm taking. And just scouting around for more treasures. We found a treasure behind the wall, so... And now I'm going to be, you know, making sure I check behind the walls and such. Can I get up there? That hill is technically not even on the map, so I don't think we can get up there. But I'm sitting here like trying to, past gameplay me is sitting here trying to figure out why I can't just run up the side of the hill like I could on the other hillside in the last episode. But and then I'm like, oh, it's probably because the map doesn't extend there, and that's probably why I can't. There's got to be something over here. Oh, look, we found a whole bunch of monsters. Aha! I knew there was something over here. A cotton top. Okay. And, yeah, we're not going to be able to jump down the cliffside. This is another thing that I don't like about, like, these massive 3D open world games. And this one's like, Nightmare Frogs! Why are there Nightmare Frogs in this game? No, we're only 4 parts in and we've got Nightmare Frogs. Don't lick me! I swear, Nightmare Frogs. They haunt me in, like, almost every game that I play. Oh, at least we leveled up off of them. And we learned the heal spell. That's cool. And we got skill points. So, we're going to be introduced to skill points now. No, I'm not going to use my skill points right away, because I don't know what I'm using them on. So, we can go into the miscellaneous menu, and we have the character builder. And so this character builder, it reminds me a lot of the, basically like the Final Fantasy XII layout, where, you know, you unlock certain, you spend your skill points to unlock certain abilities and such, which move you farther into that skill tree, and you can unlock more and better abilities as you progress. So we'll just take a look at some of the secret panel. I don't like secrets. Well, it's a secret to everybody. Falcon Slash. Okay, so you can see we have a sword tree. Basically, there's like there's like different weapon classes. It reminds me a lot of the Dragon Quest VIII skill system, where you had several different weapon classes you could choose from, and you had like a basic, you know, whatever class you were, like the hero class or healer class, whatever, where you just get like certain skills. They weren't attributable to any particular weapon. But if we got, say, a great sword skill, we couldn't use that skill unless we have a great sword equipped. So equipping a regular sword wouldn't let us do that, and vice versa. So we'll have to make a decision, you know, what do we want to focus in, or focus more on, swords or great swords? And then there's the Luminary class, which gives us a lot of nice buffs down there. I'm definitely going to want to get those. And we can get the Zap spell. Now, I make the mistake of thinking that, you know, I have 3 skill points, so that means I can get 3 things on this board. That's not the case. Each, you know, ability or buff that's on here, some of these are passive buffs, they take different numbers of skill points to unlock or open or collect. You get the idea. And I wasn't really paying attention to that when I first popped in here, but I do decide that I'm going to hold off on these skill points and deciding what we want to do. And but I still, at this point, I still haven't decided what I'm going to spend these skill points on. I am going to kill Nightmare Frogs, however, because these things are not allowed to exist. And now is teaming up with Cruel Cumbers. Ouch. I went after the Cruel Cumber first because I thought I could one-shot it, but I guess not. Nightmare Frog! But we have magic to cure now, which is useful. And the heal spell in this game takes 3 MP, kind of like Dragon Quest I. There was a Dragon Quest game where the basic heal spell only cost 2 MP, and I appreciated that. There's another Nightmare Frog just like sunbathing down there. I'm not going to kill all the Nightmare Frogs. We'll be here all day. Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Before we got sidetracked with the Nightmare Frogs and the skill points and whatnot. I'll get back to the skill points maybe later this episode. But the open world, large 3D areas, you get to like the edge, and it looks like you should be able to travel further, but you can't because either some barrier or, you know, the map just doesn't go that way. But it looks like you can, given the graphics on the screen. And I run into that issue a lot with these 3D games as well. Oh, we're playing in the river. The same river that the Nightmare Frogs are playing in. Oh, we got a bunnycorn just chilling out on the log there. Oh, and it looks like we have... I wonder, can we climb up here? Again, just playing around with the jumping. It also seems like we can jump higher or farther if we get a running start, which, by the way, you can run by holding the R2 button. It's also what you use to make the horse go dashy dash. Oh, there's my horse. That's my horse! No one's gonna get that reference. Alright, so the skill tree, when it comes to skill trees and customization, there's certain ways of doing customization that I like, and there's certain ways that I don't like. And this is where I have to compare every RPG I play to my favorite RPG, which is Final Fantasy IV. Now, Final Fantasy IV did not have customization in its characters. Each character had basically a set class, and, you know, it'd have different strengths and weaknesses, you know, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And once you got a character like Yang, for instance, he was always the monk class. You know, you couldn't change class, you couldn't do... He was monk class, high HP, high speed, average defenses. By average, I mean they're, like, a little bit better than the mages. And he used claws. And that's what he did. No magic whatsoever. But we just cut those flowers. Herb, cotton top, and cotton top. That was a nice find. And I like that. As a player, I want to be, you know, doing battles. I want to be exploring dungeons, fighting bosses, getting treasures, getting my characters stronger and whatnot. I don't want to spend a ton of time playing around in menu systems trying to customize characters to basically just end up getting characters that fit, you know, certain traditional RPG classes anyways. And so that's one thing Final Fantasy IV did. It you know, the characters were all set in their classes. You didn't have to worry about any of that. It was very pick up and play sort of friendly. When there are... That's not to say I dislike any game that does have customization within its character classes. There are instances where I do like customizations, and there's instances where I don't. I'll give you an example of the type of customization I don't like, and it will relate back to a Dragon Quest game, but I'll talk about that one another time. We're at Heliodor, by the way, so I'm going to explore this town, so this is the perfect time for me to just talk about, you know, other topics. So, example of customization I don't like is when every character can learn and do everything at the same time. An example of this would be Final Fantasy VII. You know, you can shift materia around and every character can have whatever spells you want them to have at any given point. And it's to the point where, okay, the only real difference in the character is the weapon type, but as far as damage output, it's as long as you have the upgraded weapons and such, and you've kept up on the levels, the damage output is fairly comparable. And the character's limit breaks. That's like the only thing that really sets them apart. Other than that, you can just give any character any materia you want, and they can have whatever spells you want them to have. You know, within the limits of however much materia they can carry, but that's not enough of a limitation for my liking. Another one that's a worse offender is the PS2 version of Final Fantasy XII. This was literally every character could learn every single spell in the game. They could equip any type of weapon, and there was really no difference between the characters, and I hated that. It was a complete turnoff of that. A complete turnoff for me for that game. And yeah, there's a book. I'll let you guys read the book. I'm not going to read it to you. That is one issue I have with doing post-commentary. Is that, you know, if I'm doing live commentary, I can read things on screen out loud and be able to keep up with the text. Whereas post-commentary, I kind of have to go, oh, yeah, there's like a thing I wanted to read here, and I got to, past gameplay me has to kind of gauge things and give enough time for post-commentary me to read it out loud in whatever voice acting I wish to do. Yeah, pick up the pot. No, there's nothing there. Okay, well, let's go upstairs. There's a lot of houses in Heliodor, and I'm going to enter... I'll end up entering most of them like twice. But we will find... I can't even guarantee that I found everything. But I think I found all the major stuff that I wanted to find. See, there's a treasure out there. I want it. That door's locked from the other side. So I gotta figure out how to get to the other side. Another thing I'm going to try to do here is just use our jump feature. And, well, that didn't work out at all. We'll give that another go. You can see the sun is setting. The time is still changing within town. In Dragon Quest III, if you entered a town, the time wouldn't change within town. It would only change while you're on the world map. But here it's going to change anytime. Oh, hey, more stuff to break. Moonwort Bald. I believe that cures sleep. Don't quote me on that. And this takes us outside. Okay. Well, there's got to be a way to that treasure, and there is. We're going to find that out at some point. I'm not going to spoil that. You gotta watch the videos to see where and how we get that. So there we have a copper sword. It's 1 point stronger, and the upgrade great sword. It's a couple points stronger. It's only 1 or 2 points stronger than the other sword that's available. So generally, great swords are going to be stronger in damage, but you have to use two hands and sacrifice a shield. I'm not sure if I'm willing to do that or not. Yeah, see, there's look at that, +4 defense if I was using a shield. So that is something I will have to consider. Okay, anyways, back to the skills for Final Fantasy XII. So that's one thing that really turned me off to Final Fantasy XII, at least on the PS2 version. Now, the PS4 version, the Zodiac Age, which I did an LP of on here, I loved the skill system because, well, you had, 12 job classes, and you would assign a character to a job class, and your character's stuck in that job class. And you can only learn, whatever that job class allows you to learn. And later in the game, you get the ability to put a second job class on each character. So there's some customization there where you can mix two job classes together and basically get a combination of a couple different things. But yet each of the job classes were varied in their own ways between, what weapons they're allowed to equip and what skills or spells they're allowed to have. Even within the different mage classes, you had white mage, black mage, and red mage, And you might think, well, Red Mage is Red Mage does kind of overlap, but it does have its own uniqueness that sets it apart from the White and Black Mage. And White and Black Mage, respectively, are better at their magic. Like, they'll have more passive magic buffs and such than the Red Mage does, I believe. You could also combine, like, a Black Mage and a Red Mage. You might think, well, why would you do that? Well, Red Mage in that game is the only mage that gets access to the Dark type attacks and the level 4 fire spell, which I believe was called Ardor. Arbor? Whatever. But, so there was, a reason, and you could use the buffs from the Black Mage and the Red Mage, so you'd get even more, buffs to your magic attack strength by combining both of those mage classes. So there's reasons to do that. So that sort of job class system, that is something that I do like. A job class system I don't like, another example one, well, I did like Final Fantasy V to a degree. That was another one where you were able to mix job classes, but you could technically have all your characters learn all the spells, but you wouldn't be able to use them all at the same time. You could only add 2 commands to your combat menu. I guess you could explain it that way. So you have attack, item, and then you can add 2 slots. You can put white magic, black magic. You can put like a thief skill like steel, sword magic, blue magic, you name it, red magic. So you were limited in that sense. But one thing I didn't like about the Final Fantasy V job class system is once you mastered a given job class, you would get, some job classes would give like a passive buff to the freelancer class. So the ultimate goal is to just master, a handful of classes, the classes that give passive buffs, and then whatever other classes you want for certain abilities and that. And I found a place that we weren't supposed to go, and they're not going to let us go down those stairs. That's not going to stop me from trying again, but we're going to try again. It's also nighttime now. In Dragon Quest III, during nighttime, the cities could change drastically. Like, there might be someone standing on top of a treasure or something during the day. A treasure that's, like, hidden within the ground, and you have to search the ground. But you can't search that spot because, they're in the way or they're blocking your path to get to the spot. But then at nighttime, you come back to the city, and that character has moved, they've gone to bed or whatever, so you can search that spot and find a mini medal or something special. And then there's like some shops and things that would only open during the night, and they would sell different equipment, and I like that. I thought it was kind of unique and at the same time tedious, because you have to explore the same town twice over, once during the day and once during night, in order to make sure you get everything from it. So anyways, back to Final Fantasy V job class systems. So basically the goal is to master a bunch of job classes, so you take all these passive buffs, and they could be like, you master the monk job class, and then if you go back to freelancer, you get a plus 30% buff to your max HP. Things of that nature. So the game encourages you to get all of these passive buffs together and just go into your freelancer class. Well, freelancer class looks boring. I would rather, be encouraged to stay with a job class and then have like a secondary ability, kind of like what the Final Fantasy Tactics Advance games do. That's the type of and Final Fantasy Tactics does that as well. That's the type of job class system that I think is kind of perfect. That would be my example of the perfect way to do a job class system. Or another way to do a job class system would be well, I'm going to go back to Final Fantasy I. and say, you know, you select a job class with a character, and that's it. They just get that one class. Dragon Quest III has that system too, so that's the example that I like, and that leads me to my what I would say is my least favorite Dragon Quest game in the series, as far as the main series goes, and that's Dragon Quest IX, because the job system in that is, well, you don't just level your character from level 1 to 99. You go into a job class, and then your character resets to level 1. And you can switch job classes almost any time you want. You have to go back to a certain spot in the game, which is kind of tedious. So you can't really switch classes all the time. I see a treasure over there, and we can get it. And there's another one of those little ghosty things. See, they appear a lot by treasure. And there's a mini medal. We do have many medals in this game. Awesome. So you see, guys, I'm not just wasting time exploring. I am getting somewhere. We're getting productive things. Mini medals, traditionally in Dragon Quest games, you collect them and then you can trade them for some really good and exclusive items that you can get only with collecting mini medals. There's a cat meowing. The cat is distressed. Of course it is, it's on the roof. Okay. So Dragon Quest IX. So say I was level 17 one job class, and then I switched to another job class. Well, now my character is actually level 1 again. And then you have to level up that job class. If you switch back to the other job class, you'd be level 17 again. So, and the other idea here is once you master each job class, I think you have to master it, or you get to a certain level in the job class or whatever. But then you get all of these passive buffs, and you can take every ability that you learn in that job class, and you can carry it into another job class. And so ultimately, I think the ultimate goal in that game was to master all the job classes and then just make everybody a paladin, which had the best, stats or equipment selection, whatever, that couldn't be just carried forward into another job class. But you'd carry forward all the spells you could learn, all the other passive buffs you get from mastering all the other job classes, and every character just kind of became a carbon copy of do everything and be everything all at the same time. And I didn't like that. The good news, though, in Dragon Quest IX, you don't really get to that level of job class mastery until the post-game. So, yeah, so for the main game, you can still just pick the one job class, whatever job class you want them to be, and then have them be that job class. And unless you do like excessive grinding, you're probably not going to be doing too much of the mixing and matching. So yeah, I like some mixing and matching, and there's others I don't like. And while I say that Dragon Quest IX is my least favorite because of that job class system, I've also heard that Dragon Quest VI adopted that job class system. By the way, we just got a side quest to save the cat that we just found. Yeah, we'll have to go back up there and do that. We also have a side quest to find some books on some knights. So yeah, we'll be finding that as well. We still have a lot of things to do and explore here in Heliodor. But yeah, so while I dislike the job class system and the ultimate goals of Dragon Quest IX, I dislike the post-game of Dragon Quest IX too, but I mean that doesn't really matter too much because it's post-game, it's just kind of like bonus content. It's technically endless content, but it gets very stale and repetitive, and I end up just like completely losing interest in it. But the main game, I didn't really have too many issues with it. but I remember. So, yeah, while I say it's my least favorite Dragon Quest game, it's not like the difference between my least favorite Final Fantasy and my favorite Final Fantasy, which oddly enough is both the same Final Fantasy, just different versions. Yeah, I said Final Fantasy IV is my favorite Final Fantasy, but the DS version of Final Fantasy IV is my most hated Final Fantasy, because they screwed up the entire game. But that is a rant in and of itself, and probably not a rant that I can fit appropriately into a Dragon Quest LP. So, with that in mind, I'm going to re-explore this building that I've already explored, and the door is still locked. And so, we'll have to continue. Yeah, we're going to try this again. Can we get there? Can we just jump over there? It would be really convenient. Come on, what do we have jumping physical? That's not what I wanted you to do. Okay, I'll see you next time.